Namaste students, myself Dr. Kundan Misram, Assistant Professor, Department of Aratantra and Vidyavyaka, Jyoti Vidyapeeth University, Jaipur. Students, today we will learn about the new topic from physics medicine and toxicology, that is corrosive poison. Here the topics we are studying are definition, types, mechanism and complication, signs, symptoms, diagnosis and management of the corrosive poison. Here the introduction. Corrosive are the group of chemicals that have the capacity to cause tissue injury on the contact by the chemical reaction. They most commonly affect the gastrointestinal tract, respiratory system, and eyes. Corrosive poisons are one of the most challenging situations encountered in the clinical medical practice in the humans. Introduction. The estimated prevalence of the corrosive poisoning is 2.5 to 5%, while the morbidity is above 50% and mortality is above of 30%. 80% of corrosive poisoning occurs in the children below the 5 years of age, and the mean age is about 27 of years of age. Then a range of the corrosive poisoning is about 16 to 60 years. Usually, the corrosive poisons are ingested in adult by the suicidal or for the medicinal purposes. Here the some suicidal poisons and their prevalence are given. Then types of corrosive poisons. The common caustic agent include the strong acids and alkalis, concentrated weak acid and alkalis, oxidizers, which neutral pH, alkalizing agent, dehydrating agents, halogens, and organic halides, phenols. All these are common caustic agents that are included in the corrosive poisoning. Then acids. Car battery fluids contain sulfuric acid. Distillers contains hydrochloric acid. Metal cleaners contains nitric acid. Rust removers contain hydrogen fluoride. And alkalis where the bleach contain hydrochloride and sodium hydroxide, which is present in the liquid line. Then uses of common caustic agent, where the first of all hydrochloric acid is used in the metal or toilet bowl cleaner, while the sulfuric acid is automobile batteries and sodium hydroxide present in the paint remover, train cleaner, and such things. Also, the phenol are used as an antiseptic in household purposes. In factor determine the corrosiveness. Here, the physical form, solid or liquid, duration of contact with the tissue, concentration of agent, quantity of agent, pH of agent. pH 11 is more corrosive, where the food presence of the or the absence of food in the stomach also the responsible for corrosiveness. If there is presence of food in the stomach, which is leads to less corrosive effect, while the uh, absence of food in the stomach leads to the more corrosiveness. Here the pH is even. It implies that the alkalis are more corrosive than the acids. Okay. Then the titratable acid and alkalis reserve. Here it qualifies the amount of neutralizing substances required to bring the pH of caustic agent to the physiological pH of the tissue. Then corrosive substances with a pH of less than 2 or greater than 12 are highly corrosive and can cause tissue necrosis. A concentrated solution of the sodium hydroxide, where it is concentrated about 22.5 to 30%, can cause perforation of esophageal wall, mediastinitis, and fetal outcome within the seconds. In action of mechanism, where the alkali ingestion causes the liquefaction necrosis. Here the protein dissolved leads to the collagen destruction, which is responsible for fat saponization and cell membrane. Then it leads to the emulsification, leads to the submucosal vascular thrombosis, and finally leads to the cell death. Then causes are regulation necrosis. Here the hydrogen ion desiccate epithelial cell producing an discharge, leads to the edema, erythema, mucosal sloping, and ulceration, which finally leads to the necrosis of the tissue. Both acids and alkalis cause the fibrosis and the stricture formation. Consequence of caustic injury. Here, the caustic injury leads to the necrosis, which occurs within the second of the exposure to the caustic agent. The ulceration and perforation occurs within the 24 to 72 hours of the exposure. Fibrosis occurs within the 14 to 21 days of the exposure. Stricture occurs within the week to the year of exposure. Carcinoma formation occurs after the decades of the alkali exposure. This is the necrosis. This is perforated ulcer. This is the fibrosis. Okay, this is fibrosis. This is a normal intestine and intestinal stricture. This is the middle of the intestine. This is the carcinoma formation of squamous cell. Here the invasive cancer form in situ. Then a cell membrane mutation. Here cell membrane mutation start, and here the hyperplasia formation. Here it progresses to dysplasia and in situ cancer and invasive cancer, which is the last stage. Then clinical presentation in the corrosive progeny. In GIT, the severe pain of the lips, mouth, throat, chest, and the abdomen. Dysphagia and pudendophagia also occurs. Epigastric pain and hematemesis also caused by these corrosive poisons. Also, the symptoms and signs of the GI perforation also be occurs, and excessive salivation. It also be occurs in the body. In a respiratory system, here the symptoms like of dyspnea, blood constriction, pulmonary edema, and chemical pneumonitis also. Then eyes and skin, here the pain at the site of exposure, burn at the site of exposure, and erythema and vessel formation occurs due to this type of poison. Then acute caustic poisoning. This type of oral post-corrosive lesion are seen. Okay, these are the corrosive changes. Then diagnosis and investigation. Here the diagnoses are done by the endoscopy. Here the direct evaluation by endoscopy is useful in the grading severity of tissue injury, planning for the nutritional support and the long-term management of the structure. Here the esophagoscopy used to use in the case of esophageal lesion because it's the best diagnostic procedure to determine the presence and severity of the corrosion. Then gradings. Jargar's grading of the corrosive poisoning. Jargar graded the corrosive injury of the upper gastrointestinal tract on the basis of EGD finding. He advised the diagnostic EGD between 24 to 48 hours to assess the extent of the damage if the patient is stable. EGD is contraindicated if the perforation is suspected on the clinical ground. Here the grade 1, here the formation of erythema and edema occurs. In grade 2, here the two categories. In first category, the hemorrhage, erosion, blister, focal ulcers, and exudates occurs, while the second category, circumstances or deep ulcers occur. In grade 3, the multiple deep ulcers with the brown, black, or gray discoloration occurs. In grade 4, the perforation is occurs. In management, the early admission within the 48 to 72 hours of the corrosive ingestion should be done. The upper GI endoscopy should be performed on day 1 to 2. If the endoscopy reveals so only the mild lesion, then the person can be discharged and clinical follow-up should be done at the 1 month. If the severe lesions are found on the endoscopy, then surgical gastroscopy is indicated, which should be followed by repeat endoscopy and dilation after the 3 weeks. The delayed admission, it within the 72 hours to 3 weeks of the corrosive ingestion. There, the no endoscopy is indicated. Gastroscopy should be done if there is the severe dysphagia, endoscopy and dilation of stricture if present should be done week after the injection. Then late admission. Here the more than 3 week of injection occurs. If the procedure is successful, then follow-up endoscopy should be done at 1 month. If the procedure is unsuccessful, then surgical gastrostomy is performed, which is followed by retrograde dilation of the stricture after 10 days of operation. Then clinical approach in the management of the corrosive poisoning. Here, in asymptomatic patient, if there is the history of minimal corrosive injection and the oropharyngeal burn on the examination, then the patient require only observation in the emergency. While in the symptomatic patient, if there is history of ingestion of the large volume of corrosive along with the signs like stridor, hoarseness of voice and respiratory distress, then the patient require admission in the ICU. Then protection of air, decontamination, vital parameters of the patient, then dilute the substance with the water or milk with and with then be within the 16 minutes. After that, the further treatment should be started. Here, the charcoal has no effect. Then dilation and neutralization by nasogastric tube leakage generate the heat and increase the risk of aspiration. The stabilized patient by initial evaluation of the stabilized patient aims to identify the acute complications of the corrosive poisoning. Then corticosteroid, while there is no role of systemic steroid in the management of caustic injection, intralesional steroids can be given. Here the antibiotics given which is tissue destruction and the caustic injury increase the risk of infection by enteric organisms. So the antibiotics should be given. Then protein pump inhibitors and H2 blockers are given. The gastroenterologist routinely recommended the proton pump inhibitor and H2 blockers in the caustic injection. Also, the nutrition should be good. Good nutrition should be given to the patient. This is the treatment of this poisoning. Thank you, student.